Divine Revelation. 3 miraculous signs of heavenly transformation already manifesting within you. In a quaint English village cradled by emerald hills and whispering trees, the air crackled with tension. Mary Thompson knelt in the quiet sanctuary of St. Barnabas Church, heart racing, as a wave of urgency crashed over her. "Dear God, please, let there be a miracle." Tears streamed, despair clawed at her spirit. Her beloved husband, John, faced an ominous fate, a cruel diagnosis molding their lives into a tale of sorrow. But even in this earthen prison of hurt, a flicker of hope ignited as the pastor's voice echoed through the dimly lit nave. 3 miraculous signs of transformation are brewing among us. There was an otherworldly whisper in the air, overwhelming yet comforting. Mary's ears perked as she leaned closer, every word washing over her like raindrops in a drought. Signs that defy the darkness, rippling through this community. The congregation stirred, murmurs of awe cascading through the pews. With each spoken phrase, she felt her doubts crumbling, as though faith was gathering strength, ready to burst forth from the cracks of her heart. Days passed like falling leaves, but Mary found the first sign buried in a dusty box up in the attic, an ancient family prayer. Words etched by generations were a balm for her wounded soul. Together, she and John recited it, voices trembling but strong, weaving a tapestry of healing that bound their family tighter. The children, eyes bright with wonder, found a kind of magic that danced in the shadows of that prayer. The magic of hope, rekindled. Then, bolstered by this renewal, Mary was nudged by divine prodding to bridge the chasm with neighbors estranged by petty quarrels. With trepidation in her heart, she approached Mrs. Ellison, a longtime adversary. As they spoke, Mary felt something breathtaking unfold. Their words revealed the second miraculous sign. Regret melted, and an understanding began to blossom. "Let's start anew," Mrs. Ellison suggested, and suddenly the air buzzed with the possibility of reconciliation, echoing laughter where once there was silence. Yet the true test loomed. John's health declined. Hope faltered like a flickering candle in a storm. Mary grasped desperately onto faith, fearing it might slip away into the night. Despite the growing pallor of her husband, she refused to give in, rallying the village for another prayer vigil. The scent of burning candles wrapped around them like an embrace, twisting hearts together under the soft glow of devotion. As the villagers gathered, prayer rose, rich, layered, palpable, filling the room like warm honey. Voices, each distinct, melded into a chorus that shook the rafters, speaking of miracles unseen. Then a hush fell, a palpable shift, that divine presence dancing ever closer. Would they witness the miraculous healing of John, or would fate rend their hopes asunder? The clock ticked ominously, dread and faith grasping for control. But even as her heart raced between despair and hope, Mary realized something pivotal. This was a journey toward transformation, potentially more profound than she ever imagined. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That flicker of faith, which felt so small, now grew brighter, illuminating the dark corridors of her soul. As prayers rose and hearts joined, even in her uncertainty, Mary sensed the greatest transformation lay not just in John, but within her very essence. Stretched tightly between loss and hope, she stood on the edge of a miracle, holding her breath, ready to face whatever awaited them. What awaited in the depths of hope's embrace? Only time would reveal the divine secrets woven into the fabric of their lives. The vigil stretched on into the night, the flickering candlelight reflecting the trembling hope held within each parishioner's heart. Mary stood amongst them, a warmth wrapping around her, as their collective faith swelled like a tide, ready to crash over her fears. She could feel the prayers weaving through the air, spiraling upwards towards heaven like the incense from the altar, sweet, perfumed, and incredibly powerful. As the pastor led the congregation deeper into prayer, Mary's thoughts began to drift and she found herself surrendering to the moment. Amid the prayers, she heard a familiar voice, the gentle, warm tones of John as he joined in from his corner of the room, his frailty masked by the weight of the support surrounding him. "Lord, let your will be done," he whispered, a plea wrapped in resilience. Mary's heart expanded with a potent mix of love and dread. She watched him, his face illuminated by candlelight, his eyes a mixture of fear and faith. For him to speak those words, to surrender in such a tumultuous time, was a miracle in its own right. She was witnessing the strength that comes from diving deep into vulnerability, a true testament of their shared journey through the valleys of life. Then, as if on cue, a hushed silence enveloped the church. The air thickened, wrapped in an unspoken expectation. It was as if the very walls of St. Barnabas held their breath. Mary felt it too. An electric charge crackled through her, and in that moment, she understood the third sign. It was not just about healing one man, but about the transformative power of a community uniting in love and purpose. They weren't merely praying for John's recovery. They were knitting together a tapestry of resilience, hope, and unyielding faith, something far more profound than any miracle alone. Tears glistened in her eyes as she realized that, regardless of the outcome, something beautiful was unfolding. The church was alive. Their collective strength radiated and sparkled, a light outshining the darkness that threatened to engulf them. The pastor's voice broke the communion of silence, resonating powerful words that pulled Mary from her reverie. Today we seek not just answers, but the soul of God's presence among us. His words cascaded over the gathered body, igniting hearts that may have long been extinguished by the harshness of life. Let love flow. Let hope rise. The response was immediate. Fervent amens filled the sacred space, rising like incense. Mary felt a surge of emotion so uncontainable it made her soul feel weightless. She saw the faces around her, some strained with worry, others shining with renewed expectancy. Here among them were teachers, farmers, shopkeepers, and clerics, all united in a profound spiritual bond. In this moment of unity, Mary felt breathless, aware that she was part of something colossal, something divine. As she glanced back at John, she saw a glimmer flicker in his eyes that hadn't been there before. A spark of the man she fell in love with, fueled by community and prayer. Just then, a sweet scent wafted through the air, a gentle reminder of grace. Mary closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, her heart soaring. It struck her, an important realization. Healing would come in many forms, perhaps not just through physical restoration, but through the relationships mended, the love shared, and the faith deepened. As the vigil drew to a close, the pastor called for one final prayer, inviting everyone to raise their arms in gratitude for the community gathered. But as he led them in a circle, Mary heard a whisper that pierced through the echo of voices. Keep watching and waiting. What was this divine nudge urging her towards? What awaited them beyond this moment of fervor? As she opened her eyes, encircled by love and prayer, Mary felt an impending sense of change. Something yet unseen was brewing, perhaps at the cusp of unveiling itself. But what did this truly mean for John and for her? As they pulled together in that sacred space, the long night faded, and the dawn began to break. Would they be ready for what God had planned next? The proximity of transformation lingered in the air, poised to shift their lives forever. The dawn broke softly over St. Barnabas, casting a warm golden hue through the stained glass windows. Rays of light danced upon the pews, filtering through images of saints, each one telling a story of faith and sacrifice. Mary could hardly contain the swell of emotions within her as the flicker of candlelight faded into the brightness of a new day. She turned to John, still seated, his face reflecting the fragile joy of hope laden with uncertainty. "Are you feeling all right?" she asked, gently taking his hand. His grip felt like both a lifeline and an anchor. It steadied her even as it trembled. "I am," John replied, a smile breaking through his weariness. "More than all right, actually. I feel different." Mary leaned closer, heart pounding with anticipation. "Different how? I don't know precisely, but it's as if something has shifted within me," he said, gazing out through the church doors where the world beyond was awakening. "Like the dawn itself. It feels like a promise." The air was laced with the scent of damp earth and fresh beginnings. Mary closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself to sink into the quiet. She sensed the congregation was still wrapped in the beloved afterglow of the vigil. Each prayer had not just lifted John, it had stirred the spirit of the church, breathing life back into tired souls. As they rose together, they heard a chorus of voices mingling outside. Curious, they stepped into the morning sun, drawn to the laughter and joy spreading through the community. Groups were gathering, exchanging ideas and stories. There was a fresh energy, a palpable joy that Mary hadn't felt in ages. It was as if everyone knew that they had crossed over into something powerful and transformative. The pastor standing at the entrance beckoned them forward. "Brothers and sisters," he called out, his voice lifting over the clamor of the crowd. "It is time to share our hopes, our gifts, and our divine revelations. We invite everyone here to speak miracles into existence." As if the words had ignited a fire, voices began to rise, sharing testimonies of healing, of loved ones returning, of burdens lifted. Each tale served as a stone in the foundation of their collective faith, each life intertwined in a beautiful narrative of God's love and intervention. Mary listened, her heart swelling with gratitude. She caught John's eye and saw the glimmer of recognition in his expression. He, too, felt the weight of these shared miracles. It was a profound reminder that though their individual journeys were unique, together, they were crafting a powerful legacy of hope and resilience. Suddenly, one of the church members, a gentlewoman named Ruth, stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. "I was lost. I was suffocating under the weight of my own despair, but through our prayers, I have found healing and purpose. God has shown me that love is greater than my fears." A wave of applause erupted, mingled with shouts of encouragement. Mary could see the ripple effect, hearts opening, hands reaching out, allowing the warmth of shared faith to envelop them all. In that moment, Mary realized that their challenge wasn't just about John. It was about embracing vulnerability as a gift. Each person gathered there had faced their own battles and come through, enlightened and more connected than ever. "John, do you see?" Mary whispered, nearly breathless with the beauty unfolding before them. "Yes," he replied softly, his expression one of awe. "This is just the beginning." As the crowd erupted into spontaneous prayer, there was a powerful moment of silence. Mary closed her eyes, a smile gracing her lips. It felt as if the very heavens were leaning down, ready to pour out blessings. But then, a soft, whispered thought caressed her heart, igniting curiosity. What if this transformation leads to even greater things than we can imagine? A question lingered, asserting itself in her heart. What new chapters awaited them? The anticipation of divine discovery shimmered like sunlight on the horizon. Would they be bold enough to step forward into this new realm of possibility? Mary opened her eyes, her spirit alive with expectation for the unfolding path ahead. As the morning unfolded, the air was thick with an electrifying sense of unity. Each heartbeat of the crowd echoed a desire for connection, a longing to experience the divine in their midst. John and Mary found themselves swept along in this wave of fervor, their spirits lifted higher with each story of healing and hope. They were drawn to a circle of women, deep in animated conversation as they shared their revelations. One was speaking of her son, who had returned from a distant land, his heart now full of faith. Another shared how an ailment that had plagued her for years simply vanished one chilly night, when she prayed fervently under the stars. Each voice resonated with authenticity, and Mary felt their testimonies wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "Can you believe this?" John whispered, wide-eyed, taking in the radiant faces around them. Mary nodded, her heart swelling with a joyful melody. "It's like the whole church is alive. It's as if the Spirit has awakened us all." Just then the pastor called for silence again, his presence magnetic. Let us pray together. Let us invite the Spirit into this moment and let it flow through us. Hands joined, and the sound of their collective prayers filled the air like a rising tide. Mary could feel the vibrations of their voices deep in her chest, crashing waves of encouragement and strength. Each prayer lifted her up closer to heaven, closer to the heart of God. As they prayed, she suddenly felt a shifting in the air, a tangible presence enveloping them. It was a warmth, a glow that wrapped around her like a loving embrace. In that moment, she could almost see faces of the saints, their bright smiles shining as they lent support to those in need. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Then she saw Ruth again, standing taller this time. I believe we can act as vessels of this love for those who feel lost, she proclaimed, her voice steady. What if we create a community helping those in shadows find their light? A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Mary looked at John, her heart racing. Could it be possible? Could they help others find the same light they had discovered? John's eyes sparkled with the essence of renewed hope. We can. We have to try. Then let us not only speak of love but be love, Ruth suggested passionately. Let us serve. Let us journey together. We can do wondrous things. They were not merely sharing blessings. They were birthing a movement. The atmosphere crackled with expectation as each person considered the possibilities lying before them. Like flowers blooming, each heart opened wider, revealing hidden potential. Mary felt a spark within herself, a question that mirrored the mission emerging in the group. What if we could truly transform lives around us? It was a whisper that ignited her spirit, inviting wonder into her heart and mind. With this, the pastor invited them to consider tangible acts of service to carry this momentum into the world. He encouraged them to pray about where they could shine their light, to listen silently for guidance. The community buzzed with ideas, perhaps organizing food drives, visiting the elderly, helping children struggling in school. Mary could hardly contain the excitement swirling inside her. She could already imagine the faces of those they could touch, the love they could spread. But even as she envisioned the future, a quiet voice within reminded her that with ambition came responsibility. What if we stumble? What if we fail? The vulnerability gripped her. Yet looking upon John and the fervent energy around her, she felt a new conviction rising. She took his hand once more, feeling its warmth, imagining the strength in their unity. Are we ready? She asked, her voice steady, yet filled with hope. John squeezed her hand tighter in response. Yes, but whatever lies ahead might transform us even more than we realize. As they all stood together in prayerful anticipation, Mary's heart raced with the thrill of the unknown. What miracles awaited them as they prepared to step out of their comfortable lives into a world desperate for light? With a collective breath of faith, they each sent up a silent prayer for guidance, their hearts open to receive whatever divine revelation awaited them next. The transformative work had just begun. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden rays across the gathering as if the heavens themselves were igniting in anticipation. Mary and John stood with the community, hearts racing with the pulse of new possibilities. It felt as if they were on the brink of something remarkable, something holy. Look around, Mary said, her voice barely above a whisper. Can you feel it? It's like the air is charged. John nodded, his gaze sweeping across the faces brightened by hope. It's more than energy, Mary. It's divine. I can sense the presence of God in each of us right now. Ruth took center stage again, her voice rising with a fervor that captivated the crowd. Friends, we are on the path to a new beginning. Let us be like the early believers, ready to spread love without bounds. But this journey, it isn't merely about our actions, it's also about the transformation within us. Excitement thrummed through the crowd, and Mary felt her heart expand. The conversation shifted from mere ideas to deep aspirations. They were filled with a sense of collective purpose, a hunger for meaningful action that could change lives. "So, how do we start?" asked one man from the back, his face earnest and pleading for guidance. "By nurturing the love already within us," Ruth exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "Each of us carries a divine spark, but we must fan it into flame. As we act, we will ignite that light in others." Mary marveled as she listened, soaking in the wisdom enveloping them. She felt a fire within herself. What if they could truly shine? What if their desire to serve became a beacon for those wandering in darkness? "I think we should hold a community gathering," John suggested, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. "Invite everyone and let them know they are welcome, no matter their struggles or doubts." The suggestion met with joyous applause. Ideas surged forth like a waterfall: picnics in the park, workshops on faith and life skills, prayer meetings under the stars. Each idea echoed a heartbeat of love, a chance to embrace those who had been lost. Yet, as visions of their blossoming engagement danced before her eyes, Mary sensed a heaviness creeping in. But what if we can't reach everyone? What if we make mistakes and hurt someone instead? Ruth stepped closer, sensing Mary's worry. "That's part of the journey, dear friend. This isn't about perfection. It's about love in action. Each step we take is guided by faith. God will lead us, even through our missteps." Mary inhaled deeply, the tension relaxing slightly. There was courage in vulnerability. She imagined a tapestry woven together with threads of faith, adventure, and growth. "We just have to trust," John added, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "That our hearts are in the right place and that God will use our efforts for His glory." A chorus of amens filled the air, igniting renewed energy among everyone present. They joined hands once more, forming a circle of unity that felt sacred. Together they prayed aloud, voices weaving a tapestry of hopes and dreams. In those moments, revelations unfolded and hearts lifted toward heaven. Mary felt clarity unfolding in her heart, and in her mind a question began to take shape. What if we could create a ripple effect, a wave of love strong enough to reach those beyond our community? The crowd fell silent, pondering the idea, and a spirit of purpose enveloped them like a soft blanket. Eyes turned toward the future, the sacred possibilities that loomed beyond their collective horizon. As they shared dreams of transformation, Mary felt herself standing at the edge of a brilliant unknown. What divine adventure awaited them? What signs would manifest? She couldn't shake the feeling that something wondrous was about to unfold. "Let's take a step together," Ruth urged, her voice passionate and firm. "Let us turn our faith into action, trusting that the Spirit will guide every move we make." And with that shared commitment lingering in the air, they prayed one last time, each heart beating in rhythm with an anticipation that held the divine mystery of what was to come. Where would their journey take them? What miraculous signs awaited just beyond the threshold of their faith? As they concluded their prayer, an unusual stillness enveloped the gathering. The golden light of the setting sun cascaded down like a warm embrace, and the atmosphere buzzed softly, as if nature itself conspired to echo their fervent hopes. "Let's not wait any longer," Mary breathed, her spirit ignited with purpose. "Let's pick a date for our gathering." All eyes turned to John, eager to hear his thoughts. He smoothed back his hair in unconscious movement as ideas swirled in his mind. "How about 2 weeks from now?" he proposed. "That gives us enough time to prepare and spread the word." "Perfect," Ruth exclaimed, her heart radiant at the enthusiasm of her friends. The crowd buzzed with excitement again, ideas flowing and blending into one harmonious aspiration. "Who will we invite?" someone called. "Friends? Neighbors? Everyone?" "Everyone," Mary echoed, her voice swelling with conviction. "Let's extend the invitation loud and clear, embracing all who seek hope and connection." As the collective resolve grew, Mary's heart began to flutter. She realized their gathering wasn't only a moment of celebration, it was also a vessel for healing, reconciliation, and perhaps, even miracles. She felt that every hand that would connect, every heart that would be touched, was part of a sacred tapestry crafted by God's own fingers. "Sometimes," John said, his brow furrowing with thought. The act of reaching out to others brings its own miracles. "What do you mean?" inquired a young woman named Anna, her curiosity evident. "Remember when Jesus fed the 5,000? He took what little they had and transformed it into abundance. Our little actions can unleash a wave of blessings beyond our understanding," John explained, his voice rich with conviction. The crowd nodded, understanding blooming in their hearts. They began to share personal stories of kindness received, moments when reaching beyond themselves opened unexpected doors. With every recounting, joy ignited further. Visible warmth radiated from them all. "Each of us is a spark," Ruth said, "and together we create a fire strong enough to light the world." Just then, a flicker caught Mary's eye. Glancing toward the nearby trees, she gasped softly. A beautiful bird perched on a branch above them, its feathers glinting gold and crimson in the sun's dwindling light. It sang a sweet melody, enveloping the moment in pure beauty. "Like that bird," Mary whispered, captured by the sight. "Our gathering can be a song of hope, an offering to those who've lost their way." "Absolutely," someone else joined in, their eyes shining. "Let us be the tune that beckons souls back to love." With unified energy, they began to brainstorm ways to reach people, leaflets, social media posts, and simply inviting the individuals they met each day. Mary felt alive with possibility. God was moving them, stoking the fire within, stirring their spirits to tangible action. Yet a question still lingered in her heart, like a soft whisper in the wind. What if they don't come? What if we fail? Before she could spiral into doubt, a gentle touch rested on her shoulder. It was John, his eyes reflecting understanding. "Trust the journey. Every step is guided by him. Love will prevail, just as it always has." A beautiful peace settled around her, washing over her like cool water on a summer's day. With renewed strength, she took a deep breath, letting hope fill her lungs. The sun's last rays kissed their faces, illuminating the promise of tomorrow. In unity, they prayed once more, setting intentions for their gathering. With every Amen, the divine heart within them seemed to pulse stronger. As the first stars began to twinkle above, Mary sensed something magnificent was on the horizon, an unfolding of divine wonder they couldn't yet fully grasp. What signs would emerge from their heartfelt endeavors? What new awakenings awaited as they dared to step into this calling? With their hearts aligned, they would soon find out. The following days unfurled like a tapestry, each thread weaving deeper connections and igniting the fervor among Mary and her friends. The small community buzzed with conversation, where anticipation danced just beneath the surface. They took their commitment seriously. Carrying a weight that felt both thrilling and sacred, Mary found herself walking the colorful streets, heart brimming with hope. Each person she met seemed to reflect a piece of the divine vision she held. A smile here, a nod of acknowledgement there. With every step, she carried the invitation in her heart, aware that these sacred connections were a pathway to something greater. One evening, as Mary walked through the park, she spotted a young boy sitting alone on a bench. He was doodling on a notepad, a frown etched across his small face. Something in her stirred. She approached him gently, kneeling so their eyes met. "What are you drawing?" she asked, her voice soft and inviting. At first he glanced up with uncertainty, but then his eyes lit up. "It's a dragon," he said, showing her his page filled with vibrant colors. They chatted, and in that simple exchange, Mary felt a connection, a flicker of light shared between them. "You know," she said, "sometimes, just like your dragon, we must let our imaginations soar. We gather to share hope and love, and I'd love for you to come." His smile grew as he listened. The boy nodded enthusiastically. "I want to come," he exclaimed. As Mary walked away, her heart swelled. In that moment, she recognized the beauty of reaching out, observing how the simplest act could breathe life into another's spirit. Meanwhile, John found himself deep in conversation with a neighbor, a woman named Margaret, who had lost her mother recently. He listened as she spoke of grief and isolation. "It feels as if I'm walking through fog, unable to see," she shared, her voice trembling with raw emotion. Margaret, John replied. In times like this, community becomes our guiding light. We're gathering for love and healing. You don't have to walk alone. Will you join us? Tears glimmered in her eyes. She nodded, giving a trembling smile that spoke volumes. As days slipped by, Mary and John noted how their small ripples of connection became waves, spreading throughout the community. Approaching different people, sharing stories, laughter, and prayers, they watched hearts begin to open, one by one. The few flyers they posted transformed into spirited conversations around the coffee shop, the local park, and even in their homes. Ruth began to feel a divine urgency, too. She organized a small food drive as part of the gathering, believing everyone would leave not just with hope, but with nourishing meals, too. She felt in her bones that the act of providing for others would create an energy of unity. On the appointed day, the atmosphere shimmered with heavenly anticipation. As they gathered in the community center, Mary stood at the entrance, welcoming those who came. Each smile, each familiar and new face, felt like a divine orchestration, a shared mercy. Look at this, Ruth murmured to John as they set up. Can you feel it? It's as if heaven itself is rejoicing with us. John nodded, his heart racing with joy. It's love awakening us. It's what we prayed for. Halfway through sharing stories, laughter, and food, the lights flickered momentarily, drawing a collective gasp. Had the power dipped, or was it something more? A glimmer of energy charged the room, an electrifying sense of purpose enveloping them all. Mary's heart raced. Was this the sign she had been waiting for? Whispers began to travel through the room. What does it mean? Anna asked, eyes wide as she glanced from face to face, a sparkle of intrigue lighting the air. Sometimes it's in the mystery we find a deeper connection with the divine, John said, gazing thoughtfully. As they huddled close, Mary felt the breath of heaven surrounding them, thick and tangible. What would the flicker reveal? What movement might unfold as they entered into this deep communion of faith? An unshakable mystery waited just beyond their grasp, and as they leaned into it, a collective heartbeat in anticipation of the coming revelation. Mary stood at the center of the gathering, her ears buzzing with the ebb and flow of voices, each carrying a thread of shared experience. She felt the flickering lights had become a heartbeat, reverberating between them, pulsing with unspoken energy, like a whisper from heaven urging them all to listen closely. You know, she said aloud, raising her voice above the gentle chatter, a flicker can mean many things. It could be the divine nudging us, reminding us that we are never truly alone. Her words hung in the air like a prayer, gathering attention. Eyes turned toward her, souls suddenly hungry for understanding. A stillness descended over the crowd. The vibrant colors and laughter momentarily softened as anticipation settled in. What if it's a sign? Whispered Anna, her voice tinged with excitement. A reminder that change is here. Think about it. One small flicker turning to light, igniting hope in us all. John stepped forward, his conviction growing stronger. What if we let our hearts be the vessels for that light? The flicker could be calling us to a greater purpose. Perhaps we are meant to heal not just ourselves, but also this community. His words echoed, resonating deep within the assembly. As silence blanketed the room, Mary felt a gentle warmth spreading through her. A peace that spoke of potential, imperfect and beautiful, began to wrap around her like a cherished shawl. You each carry a piece of this divine plan, she continued, her voice steady. We are all instruments of love, here to uplift one another. Let's step out in faith, trusting that even the smallest act can ignite a miracle. With those words, the vibrant energy in the space surged. Faces brightened, murmurs of agreement floated around, and hands began to clasp one another. From the back of the hall, a voice broke through. It was Margaret. I lost my mother recently. I thought I would carry the burden alone forever. But standing here, surrounded by all of you, I feel her warmth. Maybe she's a part of this light too. I'm with you, came a deep voice. It was David, an elder in their community known for his stories that bridged generations. This gathering, it reminds me of a time when my family faced trials. We found strength together, an invisible thread that wove us into a tapestry of resilience. "That's it," Mary exclaimed, inspiration blooming within her. "Our wounds can become points of healing, and in our shared stories, the invisible thread of God's love can stitch the pieces together. We're being woven anew." Suddenly, the lights flickered again, not a mere electrical glitch, but seemingly in rhythm with their unfolding unity. A wave of nervous laughter rippled through them, but amidst it, faith flickered brighter. "Let's act," Mary urged, her heart entranced by the energy. "Gathering food is a beautiful start, but what if we listen to our hearts? What if we open our doors wider to those who need our love?" One by one, hands shot up, promises floating in the air like fragrant incense. Plans began to erupt: tomato soup for the weary, blankets for the lonely, stories told over warmed cups of tea. Each moment sparked a deeper understanding, a realization of their interconnectedness igniting purpose. The lights dimmed momentarily again, but instead of fear, they embraced the mysterious atmosphere, knowing they were bound together, filled with divine potential. Yet, as Mary looked into the twinkling eyes around her, she felt an unshakable truth. This was merely the beginning. But what is our next step? She wondered aloud, glimmers of uncertainty surfacing. How do we ensure that this love, this light, continues to grow? A collective breath was held, hearts racing with the thrill of divine adventure. What would be revealed next? What transformations awaited them in the deepening shadows of faith? As they pondered the way ahead, anticipation hung in the air, weaving tighter the fabric of their gathering in hope. Mary sensed the room humming with an energy unlike any she had felt before. Excitement mingled with uncertainty, a heady mix that sparked the air. The flickering lights danced in tune with their rising spirits, illuminating the potential that lay within each heart present. What if the light is not just a sign? She contemplated aloud, her voice lifting as if carried by a breeze. What if it's an invitation to act? A divine calling to manifest the love that we've been discussing. Echoes of agreement rippled through the crowd. Faces both young and old gleamed with anticipation. In that moment, Esther, a soft-spoken woman with a gentle smile, stepped forward. "I've been thinking about my neighbor Elizabeth. She's been struggling to care for her little ones alone since her husband left for work abroad. What if we brought her meals for a week, just to show her she's not alone?" The idea landed like a seed planted in fertile soil. "Yes!" a chorus of voices encouraged, a wave of purpose washing over them. "Let's make it more than just meals," David interjected. "We can offer our time. Maybe a few of us could babysit while she rests or runs errands. Or we could jump in together and help paint her fence," added Marco, always quick to envision transformation. A little beauty can lift the spirit. Suddenly, the dim glow of the light seemed warmer, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. It felt like the universe was nodding in approval. Each suggestion sparked another, like kindling igniting a bonfire. Mary could hardly contain her joy. A swelling of hope surged within her. "Look at this. Just one flicker of an idea and we're bringing light to the dark corners of each other's lives. This is what community means." As they began to make plans, tributaries of thought flowed, bringing forth moments of care shaped by their collective hearts. They spoke of setting up a clothing drive, organizing playdates for Elizabeth's children, perhaps even writing letters of encouragement. Each word was an offering of love, a manifestation of their shared faith. Outside, dusk began to settle, painting the room in deeper hues, but inside the spirit remained brightly illuminated. Mary felt a soft whisper within her. This is only the beginning. More will be revealed. Yet another flicker burst forth from the lights, this time more pronounced, causing heads to turn, eyes wide with revelation. Mary paused, her heart racing. Could this flicker be a sign? She pondered, looking from face to face. Are we being nudged to see something greater? Perhaps we are meant to understand that not only are we healers for others, but God is also at work within us, transforming us as we act. Margaret, still feeling the warmth of her mother's love, ventured cautiously. Can we also look inward? Are there pieces of ourselves we need to let go of so we can shine brighter? Old grudges or fears? What if our healing begins as we step out, not just for others but to also release our burdens? Nods and murmurs of reflection filled the space, creating a sacred agreement. Each person was a vessel, ready to receive and to give, a beautiful paradox serving to ignite transformation on both sides. Deep inside, Mary realized this gathering might not only illuminate their community, but also polish their own hearts, a divine revelation waiting to unfold. What would this new awareness bring? When God's plan truly revealed itself, would they ready? An electric anticipation filled the air as they grappled with these thoughts. What will we discover about ourselves? Mary breathed softly, a question lingering as they stood on the edge of this profound journey, a tapestry of transformation woven within. As they leaned into that sacred silence, hoping for the answer, a gentle breeze whispered through the room, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and promise. The sun rose, casting a soft glow throughout St. Barnabas. Mary blinked awake, feeling an urgency thrumming in her spirit. Last night had been transformative, not merely for individual souls, but for the very heart of their community. As she stretched, the sensations from the gathering flooded back. Hope, laughter, unified purpose. John stirred beside her, his face creased with a contented smile. "Did you feel it too?" he asked, his voice thick with sleep, but laced with anticipation. Mary nodded. "It felt like we crossed an unseen threshold. God is moving and we're part of it." They both felt that flicker again, an indefinable spark urging them onward. With hearts set ablaze, the couple made their way to the church, feeling the excitement bubbling within them. Outside, the village thrummed with life. Children laughed as they played, while neighbors exchanged friendly greetings. Even the air felt charged with a fresh promise, as if heaven itself was preparing them for something extraordinary. Upon arriving, they spotted Ruth, already bustling about to prepare for the day. "Good morning, dear ones," she greeted, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "I can't shake the feeling that today is pivotal. Are you ready for what God has in store?" They joined her in the church, where Mary noticed the congregation assembling, faces bright with eagerness. The pastor stood waiting near the altar, his countenance radiating a divine energy. "Today we continue what began last night. We do not merely gather to speak of change, we are here to activate it." As he spoke, Mary felt a wave of peace wash over her. Encouraging words flowed forth, igniting embers of action and faith. Stories unfolded from every corner of the room, light ignited from the flickers of last night. Those once shrouded in doubt now stood firm, ready to lift their voices and transform lives. "Let's not just talk about reaching out. Let's put our words into action," exclaimed John, emboldened. "We can organize this week's service projects and share all the ways we can help one another." The pastor's eyes glimmered at the suggestion. "Yes. What's born from our struggle and faith must be shared. We are called to be vessels of love. We will go to those in need, together." A flurry of energy erupted as ideas bounced around. Clothing drives transformed into meal trains, assembling care packages for the sick, even plans to visit the elderly with flowers and conversation. They felt God moving through them, knitting together the threads of their lives into a blessed tapestry. As they compiled plans, a hush fell over the room. The flickering lights made their presence known again, not in disruption but in confirmation. The atmosphere thickened, as though blessings rested heavy within the very space itself. It was a sign, an invitation to deeper faith and larger strides, a reminder that these actions mattered. "Let us pray," Mary suggested, taking John's hand. They surrounded themselves with hands clasped together, forming an unbreakable chain of resolve. "Heavenly Father," she began, her voice steady, "let our hearts be aligned with your will. Guide our hands as we lend support to others, ignite our spirits, and let us be true vessels of your love." A murmur of Amen echoed through the gathered assembly, a collective heartbeat pulsating with divine energy. They each felt the warmth spreading through them, like a light illuminating even the darkest corners of their souls. As they erupted into worship, joy and gratitude swelled, washing over them like a deluge. The laughter of a child pierced through, juxtaposing the solemnity and joy, a breathtaking reminder that hope and healing go hand in hand. Mary glanced around as tears of joy brimmed in her eyes. Each face held a story, a flicker intertwining with the next, creating an ever brighter tapestry filled with divine destiny. This was it. This was community. As worship concluded, a voice sailed through the air. David spoke up again, his tone resonant with poignant clarity. Do you see what's unfolding here? We're more than just a church. We're a movement. Together we will wipe the tears of the lost and give them a reason to believe in miracles again. Scattered cheers erupted, a chorus of voices blending into an anthem of hope. The energy crackled, growing larger than any one heart present. It was more than a gathering now. They were claiming their collective identity. As the pastor reminded them to be shepherds in their community, Mary sensed something profound happening within her. Her own doubts unraveled, replaced with a fiery resolve. Gone were the questions of, what if I fail? Or, will it matter? Suddenly she realized it was never about perfection. It was about open hearts willing to illuminate the way. Let's bless others, Mary shouted, propelled by unfiltered zeal. Let us be conduits of compassion. And so they made plans, outreach efforts, skill sharing. They pledged to shine their light wherever they could, knowing the ripples of their actions could touch lives in ways unseen. As light began to fade beyond the stained glass windows, Mary peered at the candle blaze, its flame steady and unwavering like the faith they cultivated. This is just the beginning of transformation, she declared, eyes alight with belief. They gathered in a huddle of prayer once more, hands joined and hearts open, ready to step forward into the unknown. The divine road ahead paved with their shared love and relentless faith, and that flicker, it had morphed into a radiant beacon, urging them to continue shining brightly, inviting others to join the journey of faith and transformation that awaited just ahead. Together, they would face the days to come with open hearts, knowing that in unity, all things are possible. No flicker would be wasted. Each one could become part of the light that would usher in a wave of heavenly transformation. Now, as you reflect on this story of transformation, take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread this message of hope. Comment below, sharing your reactions and testimonies about the ending. What has God been revealing to you? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of divine love. Only true servants of God understand the significance of supporting this channel through your engagement. Let's keep the light shining.